Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Fariba Kalantari. Hi, doctor. How are you?
Hello, Cesar. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to actually have you here and also kind of dive into a lot of the things that you've worked on and things you've recently talked about in a book, and also things that you have coming up. Before we dive into that, though, I want to just do a quick introduction, and so that people can kind of get to know who you are. Okay, so Dr. Fariba Kalantari is the owner and CEO of the famous Hollywood Dental Care in Hollywood, California. She has been practicing dentistry for over 30 years in New York, New Jersey, and California. She has been serving the community in Hollywood since 2006 and has passionately received the nicknames of Dr. Fab and Doc Hollywood from her patients. In her office, everyone is treated like a star. Fariba has been involved with many local and international charities, donating her time and money serving those in need. In 2015, she did a mission trip to the Dominican Republic with Smiles for the Life Foundation, providing dental services for impoverished communities. She has served in many leadership positions, co-chair of a few health communities, past chair of California Dental Forum, past president of Iranian-American Dental Association, past president of Los Angeles Dental Society, and past chair of Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. Her next mission is to finish her memoir book and continue to mentor and inspire youth with similar struggles growing up and never giving up on their dreams. Fariba is pursuing her other goals of getting her pilot license, since it reminds her that sky is not the limit. Wow, just listening to that and reading that is like, wow, you have to have such an amazing life and things you've come all the way to this point now, right? And so tell me about your background. Where are you originally from? And tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
Sure. Cesar, I was born in Iran to a wonderful family that raised me with love. It was back in 67, I was born. And, my father founded a school back 2 years before I was born. So both of them were in education, both my parents, and he was very advocate of especially girls' education. He says, that is the only thing that I can, being in a country with the old-fashioned cultures, what have you. He says, this will be the best gift that I can give you, is to just the advocacy of your strength and something that you can take it all over the world with you. And little did he know that the revolution was going to happen. And things were changed, and I was 10 years old, and until then I was in my parents' school. My dad was the principal, and having my mom as a vice principal, me and my brother were going to school there. No special favor, we were all treated like the other kids, but I was really blessed to have that background in education. Then the revolution happens in Iran, and everybody's trying to struggle for survival, and right or wrong, not getting too much into politics of things. We, for a better life, my dad immigrated us to the United States. At least that was the goal. It took us quite a few years. First he sent me and my older brother to England. We stayed there in a summer school, and and which I mean, I loved it actually. It was like I belonged always, back. And that didn't matter. We knew a little bit of an English, just the vocabulary, just the alphabet, but it was wonderful. My ultimate goal was always to come to the States, because when I was little, my uncle had moved to the States, and I had a really strong bond with him. He has passed away since, and he was the rock of the whole family, his presence. And my ultimate goal was to get to United States. But
Yeah.
it was, the struggles happened just, from then. And, then we went back and the borders got closed and we got stuck in Iran again until the second opportunity happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Let me ask you this: how easy was it for you, or did you grow up learning and speaking the language English, or is that something that you had to actually learn on how to go about getting adjusted to?
Yeah, good question. I mean, a lot of people ask me that. It wasn't really, yes, we learned the alphabet, the ABCs, and just making some sentences. This is a book, this is a table, but not in a conversational. So my very first chance of having a conversation was when we were in England. It was a short time. I was only 11 years old, and it was only 3 months. And we went back, and not only that was taken away, we were forced to learn Arabic language and something totally different. I mean, nothing against that, but it's just more what do you call it, obstacles as far as to speak it in a daily matter. But however, that background that we had learned in elementary school, even the alphabet, because it's totally different than the Farsi alphabet, if you're familiar with that at all. We write from right to left versus left to right in English, or Latin. And when I came, my first day when I arrived finally, when I was 16, it was in high school, and I could not speak except for a few words here and there, but my cousins, they were all American speaking. They're born in America, and they put me to school next day. I couldn't understand anything, and even different parts of U.S. there are different accents. From New York versus Midwest, and this was in Wisconsin. I couldn't get as English as that, and I couldn't understand anything. But it just took a few months. It didn't take too long until I picked it up. So
Got it. Yeah, and I know that's definitely for people that are listening to us that might be from different countries. That has always been a challenge, right, to overcome the language barrier, specifically if you're in a country like in the U.S. where you're trying to definitely get acclimated with not just the language, the culture, or it could be in other countries too, right? If you're not for that original country and you don't speak the language, that can definitely hinder your possibility to do certain things, right? So let's go back to that. So obviously the borders were closed. There was a lot of challenges that took place for you, and I'm sure we're going to get to that. Yet where was that passion of, one, you wanted to come to States, you wanted to come to the States. Number two, where did that passion come from, being a dentist, right, out of any other profession?
I think it was just okay, I'll tell you exactly. There are two different passions. The coming to the U.S. one was when I was 5 years old. My dad had visited U.S. Where my uncle was, although my uncle was my mom's brother. They had a very close bond. And when he came back, he brought me this little tray that had the Empire State on it. And we used to watch the little House on the Prairie. I used to love that movie when growing up back in Iran. We used to watch the translated format of it. And every night, just Laura Ingalls, I used to sit down next to my bed from the age 5, and my dad brought that tray and kiss that tray, thinking that my uncle is right by that Empire State, and pray that I'm going to one day make it to the States. So that was my dream, and that's the fantasy that I sort of grew up, and I didn't know how it's going to come to fruition. And then as far as the dentistry goes, I didn't know anything about dentistry. And as a matter of fact, I don't know when was the first time we had a family dentist that anytime that something hurt or something, they would, there was no prevention in that country. But because I was in my dad's school, they had a health person that came in, and she didn't even know that I was, the daughter of the principal. But she comes in and looks at my jaw and says, this girl really needs help. Her jaw is really forward. She has a crossbite in here. She should go see an orthodontist. And I was 9 years old, so they took me. The family friend introduced me to their friend, a colleague who had studied actually in the States. And when I think it was just one of those love at the first sight, inspired moments that the light bulb that in your life goes on. Even though I was young, and it's funny that at that such a young age it happened, but I remember every single detail about that. And I don't know, maybe it was the name that it says, Dr. Mrzvegi from United States, or it was the chairs that was so modern, or any detail of it you can imagine. I just fell in love with it. I said, oh, I think this is going to be what I want to do. And it was just very neat, the things that he was doing, the tools, the passion. As a kid, you can't lie to the kids. So I could see his passion through his eyes. And I totally fell in love with it, fell in love with him. And to this day, we are friends, actually, believe it or not, with a doctor, my mentor. And that's how it all started, just a visit to the orthodontist.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And it's funny how sometimes, we can grow fond on certain things and just kind of grow and like something from the beginning, just say, that's gonna be what I want to do. That's gonna be my passion, and kind of do that moving forward. So let's talk about the challenge of you coming to the States, right? I do believe that there's a lot of people might have it easy, some people might have it hard. There might be obstacles such as money, family, jumping hoops back and forth, right? And so a lot of people are in different places. I know when I came to the States myself, I also migrated illegally into the States, and it was one of those challenges for me to. When I was a kid, I was 10 years old, yet I still remember coming to the States and being able to cross the borders, and just like you see the movies where people are like hiding and things like that. That was me, right? And so there's obviously that unique experience, and then you have other people that somehow were able to come in here with a visa, yet there was still
Bribed someone with lots of caviars, and he got our passports. But I was like, it was getting expensive, and the whole family couldn't get out. So, and also that he was going to bring him to my uncle. So it's a lot of responsibility for a family to take on someone else. So first it was him, because it was a matter of life and death, although they didn't know that I was dying slowly inside. I was just quiet and, just went with it. Didn't know what's going to happen. And I did have a dream about my grandpa, and sure enough, the next day my dad knocks on my door and says, "Here's your passport, and I am taking you with me too." This is after 6 months. My brother had already left. So of course we come in, we go to Germany. First we go to Germany. My dad goes. My grandma actually came with us too, so it was the three of us. My dad goes to Frankfurt, and right away he gets his visa to come in, because before the revolution, he used to come back and forth. So they actually gave him a multiple entry visa very easily, maybe because of his back history, whatever it was. We were so lucky. We were super lucky, because it was in 1984. I mean, hardly anyone was able to get a visa to get unless you were already in the States. My grandma got denied. And then my dad says, okay, let's go to Turkey. So we took the train, we went to Turkey. And at the first, I had an invitation from my uncle for school. And then the lady who was interviewing me, she said, there's no date, you haven't even graduated high school. I think you should go back to Iran first. And then I started crying. And I said, if I go back, then they're not going to let me out. And I guess that was not a right thing to say. But there was a gentleman there his name was David Avery. He was one of the hostages in Iran, actually, that he became the counselor. And he just turned around, and the lady who was interviewing me, her name was Barbara, I don't remember her last name, who was going to put that red stamp on my passport to reject me. And he just looks at her, he says, and my eyes, I was like tearing. He says, how could you look at the teary eyes and just reject her? Wow. And then he comes in and he says, your I-20 doesn't have a date. So just go ahead and get me another I-20 and let's talk. So, but it wasn't like these days that you could just email back and forth within a day. So getting that back and forth, it took 2 months. So by the time the new date came in, it was only 3 days until that one would have expired. Yeah. And I'll share you this part too, that there was a long line of us standing, and it was a Friday. I will, to this date, remember the date, September 28th. And the line was so long and there's too much noise that the guy opened the door, my interview date, and he says, no more Iranians today. He was so angry that he says, no more Iranians today. There's just too many of you coming for visa. And then somehow, I don't know what it was. That's why, this power of intention thing that I talk about, Caesar, I just stared at this guy. I was probably somewhere in the middle of the line. And I just looked at him with this sadness in my eye that how is this possible? And he just points of hundreds of people who were in the line, points at me, says, you get out of the line. So he pulls me over to the other side. I think maybe because I was lighter, complexion, and he didn't think I was Iranian, I was on the wrong lane. He says, you come over here. So he grabs me and then he looks at my passport. He says, no, she's also Iranian, but he already got it. And then, so he just grabs the passport, goes inside, comes back, and there's my stamp. And October 3rd, I arrived. 2 days later, 1 day before my I-20 expires, I arrived.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to touch on what you just mentioned. And maybe we can go a little bit deeper on that. The power of intention. Because I do believe in reading the chapter you wrote, and by the way, you are now a part of a contributing book, and you're a #1 bestseller, which is amazing. Taking that into account, and you talk about that power of intention, the kind of staying truthful and really putting it out, right? Maybe let's take that deeper, whether it's utilizing some of your examples or just what does that really mean to you for people to really take away from that there's something truthful and great about that, right?
Absolutely, Caesar. It has been proven over and over to me. Just even the example of coming to the States. Yes, it took a lot of time. Yes, it's not going to happen. When you think about it, it may not happen the next day. You just have to be patient with it and see how true it is to you. If you're true to that truth, sometimes much easier than you expected. It'll come into fruition. Even my acceptance to dental school, which I didn't expect that to happen ever, and not happen so quickly. Finishing up, or the decision of moving around. So my and now I've become actually very comfortable with it. Now that it has happened. I have to be careful actually what that intention is, because that could work for good or bad. Right. So my definitely recommendation is put all that intention into good, and it's amazing what you can do in the world with that goodness. So just be laser focused. There's a lot of distractions, and it's so much easier to go in the direction of evil and bad, because that's constantly pops up in front of you. To resist that's the toughest challenge. But if you have that intention, that focus, and that belief, and just follow that, things, then there's no way that it's not going to come to reality.
And it kind of goes back to the saying, be careful what how you talk to yourself or the things you're saying, right? Because those words do mean a lot, and they can really flourish into something, right? And sometimes we don't pay attention to those things, and even if we take it further, sometimes not even putting an intention out on the world is more about how we talk to ourselves sometimes, right? we're so easy to judge ourselves. We're so easy to say, "Oh, you're dumb," or "You did this," or whatever that might be. It's like we got to be very careful with those intentions in terms of that. So when I like what you said, be laser focused. And so I guess the question I have for you is, um, obviously being having the practice you have, going through that, the many years of school, coming to the States, going through all of that, right, and the things you've done, and being chairman and president of all these different chambers and all these different associations, that is huge. And so the one thing that I ask, being laser focused, is what if you're in this position where you're not seeing the desired results, or you're not seeing like they say, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, and then people want to throw in the towel, and they're saying, you know what, enough is enough, I don't think this is for me. What is your message to those people?
My message is, I think I shared the poster with you. That has saved me so many times. Pick one mentor. Don't look at things from the outside. What was the main reason I jumped on the opportunity to write this chapter, Cesar, was the fact that people, when you're going through things, people see you at that time, during that difficult time. Sometimes you do put a social mask so no one can see that side of you. However, when you reach a point that, everyone looks and says, oh, wow, she's the chair of so-and-so, she's the president of so-and-so, look at her practice, she's the star of has the practice of all the stars, or what have you. I want them to know it's not all glorious like that. It started from scratch. It started from going through a lot of struggles. And I'm not talking about, studying hard and get there. A lot of challenges that everyone is very authentic. Everyone day-to-day deals with it, some more than others. But that's not, to say, well, if I had the money, if I was an American, if I had spoken the language, if I had the parents who did that, it's not. It's all within you. You have the power within you to make the difference. You have the power within you to change everything. I give you another example, Cesar. Growing up, the culture shock was the biggest thing that I had, the biggest challenge that I had to go through. To be a good, proper girl back home was to actually be quiet, don't speak, don't say a word. I was the most shyest girl that you can imagine. The first time that I was at the Hollywood Chamber Board of Directors meeting, and my heart was beating so fast just to get up and introduce myself. I used to cover myself, like my hand was on my face, and so no one can see how red I'm getting. Just a simple introduction to say, hello, I was so embarrassed to say, I'm Dr. Fariba. I'm telling you, it was just a lot of those challenges. And when we were at meeting Marshall and so many other great leaders, powerful people in my life, powerful mentors in my life, when he said in one of the things that I said, when I want to transition out or do more of a mentorship, I just feel like I'm still have that element of the shyness. And he says, girl, you're born to be a speaker. I said, really, me? I always picture it, but, but I listen to that. So I don't, like you said, the self-talk part of it. Put yourself out there. I didn't knock on the door to say, hey, I want to be the chair of the chamber, or I want to be the president of LA. And also, so opportunities came towards me, and they said, hey, we see this leader in you. And even though I doubted myself, I believed in their belief, and I said, okay, I believe that you believe in me, so I'm going to give it a chance. And they take your hand. Nothing, what's the worst thing is going to happen?
Right.
So I think that's what it is. We give up too quickly. Just don't give up. That's my message.
Yeah, and I like what you said, and it goes back to that I think it was Les Brown that said, it is better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not be prepared. And a lot of times we take that for granted, right? And so I definitely like that. At the end of the day, whether you're working on yourself, whether you're writing, whether you're whatever you might be doing, just work on whatever you're working on, because again, opportunities are gonna show up. Sometimes we want first the opportunity, then we want to kind of prepare ourselves. By then it might be too late, because opportunities come and go pretty fast, right? The other thing that I think is pretty awesome too is the idea of just always not giving up, and knowing that you have to have that belief and that faith that things are gonna end up working out at the end of the day, right? And so being able to say, I can definitely see myself doing this, or sometimes even the fact that you have the belief of somebody else believing in you before you can believe in yourself is more than enough to get you going, right? You're gonna believe on that person that believes in you, maybe not on the thing that you're doing, you're just believing in their belief. And so that creates another one of those things, those ripple effects, where like, well, if that person believes that I can be an author, or I can be a dentist, or I can be an entrepreneur, I don't see it yet they believe in me, so I'm gonna believe in their belief, right? I think that's huge. One of the things you talked about too is financial challenge. A lot of us go through that, and one might say, well, you have it all, you have the means, the money, whatever that might be. Yet I'm sure that was not always the case. Let's talk a little bit about that financial challenge and how you overcame that, because that is one of the biggest challenges that I would say 99% of the people might be going through, that can really create obstacles, not just in your own home. It breaks relationships. It can put you in a very, very negative state of mind, right? So let's talk about that for a second.
Sure. I think I remember when my dad, even during one of his conversations when I was a teenager, I remember he used to go hiking. He sat me down and talked about, his mom was super wealthy. I mean, the whole town of, a little part of Azerbaijan called Ardabil, his mom, was a main queen of that city. So dad had a lot of wealth, but he did not like the cultural, religious part of it. It was very, very strict. So he just took off and moved to Tehran and tried to make it on his own. And he always talked about that you don't just rely on your background. So I remember my friends used to come to our house and say, oh my God, you have such a palace of a house. And you have a pool in the backyard. I mean, you're well off, like most Iranians were those days. But I never took it. I said, well, yeah, those are my parents. I really don't have anything. I'm just living here with them. So that story was always there. Also, I used to see that how some of the men who were, a little too chauvinistic or what have you, they would say to their wives that, well, you're nothing. I'm the one who made you this and that. So I never, ever wanted to have that on me. So I always remember Dad's lesson. Sure enough, the revolution happened. And when we came here, again, Dad had money and I was counting on him that he's going to pay for my education and because that's what he promised. But things changed overnight. Everything crashed. Mom was stuck in Iran. Dad wanted to move to go to help her, save her. And he had put everything that he had with whatever he could. He brought it and handed to he thought, quote unquote, friend. And things went sour. We didn't know that he was in drugs and, was using up, making, based on a trust and a handshake. We just little by little just lost everything. And everything just crumbled at the same time. Now, usually, they say when it rains, it pours, it rains, it pours. So that's exactly what happened. Everywhere we turned, it was like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that's when I started my very first job. I was just fortunate to be right next to college. So I did not have any expenses except that, I would just walk to school. And I found out that I had a student visa. I always had a visa, just as a student. I couldn't work outside, but they let me work in the campus. And my very first job was, I was an usher. So I used to work at the theater of college and just saved up. Was it temptations to, I would, the treat was to go to McDonald's and maybe get a burger, sometimes if I had a little bit more, I would get a cheeseburger, so the challenge is as much as you make it to be, whether you have $100 or $10, you still can,
I'm just curious to know, how much were you getting paid as an usher?
$3.45.
Okay, yeah. No, that's, again, some people it may not believe that. It's like back in the day, whether that was the minimum wage or not, it doesn't matter. It's still very low compared to what it is now. I remember one of my very first job too, when I finally was able to get my work permit after being here, I don't know, maybe 6-7 years in the country. I finally was legal, I guess you can say that, and I was able to get a work permit. And my very first job was also working at AMC theaters as an usher. And I think I was making like either $3.75 or $4 or something like that. It was definitely no more than $4.25. So it's just amazing where you start from and how you start gradually. Again, sometimes you see people that are very successful as you and have done so much and accomplished so many different things, yet you just never know where you started and what you were doing and some of the challenges. And sometimes people may see that, well, no, that person couldn't have worked at McDonald's, or couldn't be an usher, or couldn't have done this or that. Yet at the end of the day, they also have put in their time, they have put in the effort. And I like what you said here. I'm going to kind of read that. You said, just stay focused on your intentions. There's always a solution. Have faith and believe. And again, for you, reading your story, part of your story is a lot of it was that you had that belief and that faith that you wanted to do X, Y, and Z. You mentioned the fact that you came here and you were very shy because of the cultures. You know, even being a dentist, or being in that school, and not having the means, you know, you're set to fail. You know, as a female, you're set to fail, not really do anything, right? And so again, it's saying, I'm not going to allow the environment, the society, people, or circumstances dictate what's going to be my future. I'm going to create my future, and that's what you've done, which is amazing.
Thank you, and I want to touch upon that one more bit too. The even though the culturally back in Iran was like that, hey, women, you know, you stay home, you know, culturally, but even in the States, believe it or not, in college, in Brooklyn College, when I went to start my, you know, prerequisites with my the advisor, that I was hoping that he's going to tell me, yes, you can do this, you can do anything, you know, and give me even more power. When I asked him that, you know, so what are my chances? What do you think? You know, I don't have a green card yet. You know, I'm here on a student visa. And he just, I don't know. Again, I'm sure he meant well, but he just totally came down and he says, you foreigner, you have no chance, you know, just go figure something out, something else. You medical school, dental school, why is it that all of you guys want to come in here and you want to go into medical or dental school? So there's no chance for you unless you get your green card. Then maybe, then the States won't even look at you. And I literally almost was going to believe him. I mean, I went and I got sick. I got so sick that I said, okay, maybe he's right. Maybe, you know, I'm not gonna be. What am I gonna do? What is the alternative? And I said, you know what? You just try. You keep do your best. And again, by Les Brown, like, go for the moon. I mean, shoot for the moon, and if you land, you'll be among the stars. So you do your best in everything, and you know, you'll be surprised on the outcomes. You just have to put the work. And
yeah, exactly. And again, that's another testament and another validation that, again, you know, you shouldn't let anything get in the way. It doesn't matter whether you're from, you know, whatever country you're in, whether you're from that country or you're from a different place, it doesn't matter. You have the ability to just to do it. And again, everything was against you, and you ended up doing that, right? I want to now kind of switch to a little bit of your practice, right? You've been doing this for so many years. You obviously enjoy it. You've been very involved in that. What is some of the things you know, I know you talked about you want to transition out of it. What are your long-term plans for your career and your life moving forward?
Well, the dentistry definitely takes a toll on your body. And I've been doing this for 30 years. I was hoping to continue clinical practice for a bit longer. However, I think the knowledge that I have gained, I will be better use of it to leverage towards mentoring. And I have to go for a surgery for my shoulder again because of a fall I had, and then the routine practicing just made it worse. So there's definitely a physical element of it after a while that it has brought its challenges. But to leverage the knowledge of it, I'm mentoring some younger dentists, and I have an associate now in the practice, and she's wonderful. So we are practicing together now. So first I was thinking maybe it's transitioning out and selling the practice and moving on. But, you know, I love being around people. I still like, you know, my patients call me and might text me, send me photos. What do I do with this? Or, you know, what do you think about this? They send from their cousin from another country or another state. And I still enjoy this. And I remember my associate first asked me, how could you give your cell phone number to your patients? I said, don't you want to be in direct contact rather than go through a lot of loops and all that? This is what makes our practice very special. So, you know, everybody is just a phone call away. And when you do that, actually, the chances of them bothering you all the time for nonsense is minute. But I love being in, I love being in Hollywood. I love this building, this practice. It has gone through a lot of changes during this pandemic, obviously, but again, hope and faith is what gets us going. I had another challenge when I first came in, because I used to practice in New Jersey for a while, in New York, and when we decided to move to California, I wasn't sure if I wanted to open up a practice again. I was working as an associate and I was happy with that, but then this opportunity came about, and the practice was right across the Capitol Records in the beginning. Yes, but then the building got sold, and my wonderful landlord in here, the Paramount Contractors, they created this space for me, and we see the Hollywood sign right in front of us every day. And it reminds me, being part of, now it's part of the Hollywood, and I've been involved ever since, and I think I'll be here for a long time. So
that's good. No, I'm glad.
Thank you.
Yeah, that definitely. So obviously you're part of a collaboration book, became bestseller. Obviously, there's been a lot of people that have looked at your chapter that really resonated with your message. Your own school really enjoyed it, and so there's many different things. Now you're looking at working on your own memoir. Can you tell me a little bit about what we are expecting to get out of that? What is the message you're trying to deliver, and what is the ultimate self-accomplishment that you're trying to get out of that?
I think it will have a lot of the similar elements in it, probably, Caesar, which we talked about some of them today. It will probably go a little deeper, even if from my parents' time, even how my dad, I want to dedicate some of it to him, as he founded this school. And I was actually really researching to find out how I could make a nonprofit with the name of school, which was Pekandars. And the alumni has found each other. Some of them are in California. Last weekend, actually, I met with a few of them. They're all passionate about it. They are very sad that they didn't see Dad in here before he passed away. But I'm trying to make that legacy to go on, because yes, we come to a different country and the humanity doesn't matter where you are, it's all the same. But I like to keep some of the element of where we came from and continue with that legacy in here. So in that, I will probably touch upon on how he founded the school, what was his challenges, what were my mom's challenges as a woman who was married, or we kid around, we used to tell that you adopted mom at what age? They're so young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Years. So some of the element of culturally what was expected, how my dad was very different among his siblings, and more into especially from the time that we went back from England, back to the war started, that 4 years, there's a lot of stories that I went through that I silently went through, that even my own parents didn't know about it. I mentioned one of them only to them after we were in the States, and they were freaking out. And they said, "You did what? They did what to you?"
Yeah.
So yes, there's a lot of that. So stay tuned, because I am going to, and my husband's a little bit nervous about it, because he says, are you sure you want to write this? Because are we going to be able to go back? I said, I'm not going to point any fingers at anyone. It's just my life and what I went through. And I think people need to know. I think my obligation, because there's a lot of different sides of that still goes on.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. No, definitely stay tuned to that. So one thing that I'm interested, obviously you have a good practice. Do you do any specific things to kind of keep you in this positive state of mind? Anything that you do on a daily basis, or you have any particular habits, things that, you really just say, I have to do this because this has changed my life or has helped me in many different aspects?
I think every morning when I open up my eyes, I'm grateful for the sun that's coming through. Sometimes actually the sun is not even out, but the imagination of the sun any moment is going to come out. We have the most beautiful sunsets from this office. That when when it's winter time, we say, everyone, whatever you're doing, you're in the middle of your drill or cleaning, sunset time. So everyone pauses and we look and pray and meditate with the sunset. It's just gorgeous. So from the moment that I get up, life is a choice. This train that's going, there's a beautiful side and scenery on one side. There's all the darkness on one side. You wake up, you get up, you decide which side of the train you want to go on. I decide to see the scenery and the beauty in it. Every day I get up, even when I sometimes you have challenging cases. My associate actually asked me sometimes, she's like, oh, I couldn't sleep because this case is going to be so difficult. I said, great. My mentor used to tell me that you're nervous, that's good. That means you're going to be careful. So there's, in our job, that's why they call it the practice, because every day we are practicing to become a master.
Yeah.
Every case is different. Every challenge is different. You have, days that go as smooth as you can and days that have its challenges. When the challenges do happen and I'm about to get so frustrated with it, I just go to my room, close the door, take a deep breath and say, somehow today, the hours and the moments is going to go. So you decide just problem solving, and everything has a solution. So, stay positive.
I love that. I love that. Fariba, where can people find you if they wanted to go to your practice, be helped by you, or maybe pick up an autographed copy of you, or where can people connect with you and find you?
Sure, they can. For the practice and dentistry part, they can go visit our website, hollywooddentalcare.com. The office is in 6464 West Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, California, Suite 1080. You can Google and find me, but my email address is drfaribakalantari@gmail.com. If you can send me a message, I can definitely send you a book and autograph it for you. As a matter of fact, all the proceeds from the book, I am donating it to my reunion scholarship fund that I'm going for the 30-year reunion to Columbia University in New York. And nice. I would like to dedicate all of that to that class and get that scholarship. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, no, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. Not as much. Someone manages those for me, but the best way to get in touch with me is either through the office, send me a message, or through my own email. Yeah.
Got it. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. They have a couple of more questions for you before I let you go. Definitely you've given us a lot of great insight of some of the challenges and how you've overcome all those different challenges. For the people that are listening to us or are watching us right now and they are going through some sort of challenge, whatever that might be, what is one or a few things you can say to them so they can start overcoming that challenge now?
Be patient, be grateful, be kind to yourself, kind to people around you, compassionate. At some point in your life, you have been all of the above yourself. I think the most that I would get out of it is, or I have, is that patience of it. Be focused on what it is that you want, be true to it, and find a great mentor, find great role models. If that truth of your belief is solid, there are going to be people that try to change your mind about that. They're going to point out all the nays and says, about it, to say, oh no, you can't, all the negativities. I learned it from some other mentors. Dump the turkeys in your life and fly with the eagles. So that's what I would do. Just find the eagles in your life and just fly with them and get rid of all the negativity. And it starts from yourself. It's years of those silence that helped me to just do self-focus and self-clean up from inside out, basically.
Yeah.
So you can reflect that to, just be yourself, be yourself and try not to, choose the mentors in your life and be authentic to them and be yourself.
No, that's awesome. You talked about mentors a couple of times, and how crucial is that? Maybe for someone that's on the fence line, whether or not I should go out and get a mentor. I fear oftentimes whether they're too expensive. Why am I going to be paying somebody to tell me what to do? And obviously there's different opinions, right? Obviously, I and you, and both of you and I have one of the same mentors, and we've gone through that. What would be your message to the people that might be on the fence line and or maybe questioning whether or not it's something that you need?
I think the when it comes to I don't look at it as expense. I look at it as investing in yourself. It's like going to school is expensive, but I'm investing in myself. You know, it is, if you, again, true with that, with the message that it is in that mentorship, that you're interested in it. Like you and I have gone to Marshall Silver. Yes, the cost of being in that circle is, I don't look at it as a cost. I look at it, again, investment in myself. Someone may look at it as like, okay, what am I getting out of this? Well, it's a give and take kind of a thing. It's your networking. It's again, surrounding yourself with the like-minded people. So the price is what you pay. Given when people come to me and say, well, why is dentistry so expensive? I say, you know, yes, living costs, you know, you want to buy a car, you know, different needs. A car will take you from point A to point B. A certain one you want for a certain engine, for a certain, you know, road that you're going to go. So these are all investments based on the needs that you want. The price is what you pay, the quality is what you stays with you. So the same goes with a mentorship. You know, if your mentor is what you have been recommended to, you know, and you see the result of that mentor, you know, I just jump in. I just look at the successful people and I say, okay, who is your mentor? I want to follow what they did. Right. And the money, if trust me, from someone who has had a quarter in her pocket and could not even take the bus because I could share this quickly with you too, because I just have to. It was a Friday afternoon, hot summer day in New York, and my friend said, hey, it's Friday, happy hour, let's just go all across the street, and there's you know, pizza place. And I had $2 to get myself to home. You know, at least I was grateful that I had the home. I would always think about the positive side. I wouldn't think that, oh, why do I only have $2? I say, I have a home that, you know, what if I didn't have that either? So I have a home, I'm going to get myself to New Jersey. And the choice was, do I go hang out with friends and spend my $2 on this pizza and soda? Believe it or not, it was $1.90 those days across the street. Wow. Or do I get myself home? So I said, okay, you know what? If I go and have just the pizza, I'll still have $1 left. So I can just walk across the George Washington Bridge to the other side. And in New Jersey side, I could go ahead and take the bus for $1. So, and then I don't have to have soda. I could just have with water. So you figure out things. Yeah. And again, and sometimes our challenges. I crossed that bridge. Yes, I did go with my friends. I had the pizza. I crossed the bridge. And little did I know that that day they increased the fees. So it was more than $1. And I was too proud to tell the bus driver that, well, it's just a quarter short. I said, you know, I have to pay for the price of not knowing, or, you know, it is the consequence of that. I decided to walk home. It took me a few hours, but I made it home. So again, have fun and have fun with it. Make your choices, be ready for the consequences. And yeah, so find your mentor, invest in yourself. That's what I spend. If it's a money, thousands and thousands of dollars on just my education is one part of it. I can't even put a price on that. 100 times more than that I've spent on the self mentorships and
Yeah, totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. And no, I love that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all on this journey where we're together and that journey called life. And we got to make sure that we take care of that vehicle being ourselves, our bodies, to be able to carry us on through that journey, whatever that might be, whether it's on a car or on food or whatever that might be, right? So self-development, I think, is huge and important, because you got to take care of that vehicle to carry you on this journey. Fariba, again, thank you so much. I really enjoy this conversation with you. I'm so blessed to have met you and definitely have you here on the show. And so again, thank you so much. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
Thank you so much, Cesar. It's been a blast to have been in this show, and also to know you, and to a good segue to what we talked about is, you know, if it wasn't for that initial investment of meeting each other just a few months ago. I'm talking about your dreams to like-minded people. The book that for years I've been thinking about, now we are, you know, it happened, and already this is impacting others that they want to hear the stories. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity, getting to know you. You're an amazing person, and I'm so looking forward to many ventures with you.
Yeah, definitely. I thank you so much again. I really appreciate you too. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor, please make sure that you go ahead and check out Fariba. Go check out her practice. You know, if you're a dentist, she's the one you want to go see. Go send her a message. You want to get a book, autograph copy. Remember, that's just going for a good cost. And so definitely do connect with her, and stay tuned for the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. And do me a favor, share this because people definitely need to hear this message. Goodbye.
I see.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.